lot of parents come to me and say, sleep training is not working. It's not meant for me. It's not meant for my family. And the reason why is usually because there's certain mistakes that they are making. So today we're going to be talking about the 7 most common mistakes parents make when sleep training their kids. Hi there, I'm Dr. Funke Afolabi Brown. I'm the founder of Restful Sleep MD and the Restful Sleep Place, where we help children and their parents get better sleep so they can thrive and reach their fullest potential. And welcome to this show. If this is your first time, please hit the subscribe button so we could get the word out, and also you'll be notified about when new content comes up. Now, talking about the most common mistakes that parents make when it comes to sleep training, I think we need to backtrack a bit and say, what is sleep training? Now, sleep training has had a bad rap because of the cried out method. Now, cried out method is just one method of sleep training. It is not the entirety of sleep training. What is sleep training? My own definition of sleep training is that it is a way to teach your child to sleep independently. Because when you think about giving your child the tools they need, the goal is for them to be able to go to bed and to be able to wake up refreshed in the morning. So when you sleep train your child, you're literally giving them those skills. And so why doesn't it seem to work? That's what we're going to be talking about. Number one is inconsistency. Now, you heard me say sleep training and cry it out. So there are so many methods of sleep training, so many sleep training methods available. There are 3 broad groups. And if you have followed me, you've seen that I've done a lot of videos talking about that. And I'll link a few of those videos in this video. Now, there is the cried out method, which is I guess maybe the most drastic for most families. There's the chair method, there's the check-in method. There's so many. You may have heard the Ferber method as well. There's just so many things going on out there. But if there is inconsistency in the sleep training method, it's going to set your child up whereby they may not necessarily do that well. So what does that mean? Maybe you try to cry it out one day. You're like, oh my God, it's too much crying. I can't do it. And then you hop off to the chair method, and then you do the check-in method, and you're all over the place. The child doesn't even know what to expect, and that is going to set you guys up for failure. So that's number one. Number 2 is really the one where I say is so common, and that is starting either too early or thinking that you started too late. So what does that mean? If your child is not up to 4 to 6 months, I would say don't even bother trying to sleep train them. Because what parents do is the child comes home from the hospital and they're trying to sleep train the child. And so now you're getting into this frustration, you're exhausted, you're burnt out. And so by the time your child is about, say, 6, 7 months, where they're actually prime and ready for sleep training, you're like, it doesn't work because you're burnt out, you're tired. So I would say don't do that. Make sure you get a check first from their pediatrician. Make sure they don't have any feeding issues. By the time they're 4 to 6 months, you're sure that they're probably able to sleep through the night, meaning that they don't need to get a feed in the middle of the night. And then also their circadian rhythms are really starting to be set. Before that, it's all over the place. And so this makes the process so frustrating. The second thing, so too early or assuming it's too late. And one of my philosophies is it is never too late for you to sleep train your child. Just like it is never too late for you to learn how to swim. It is never too late for you to wear a seatbelt, right? It is never too late because the skills that you give your child in teaching them how to sleep independently is skills that they're going to use when they're adults and they don't need, a phone or some certain kind of thing or sleep aids or whatever to fall asleep. So it is a skill you could teach your child at any time. So that's number 2. Number 3 is not having a consistent bedtime routine. I am a big fan of bedtime routines because what it does is that it primes your child's brain and their body that it's time for bed. And so having that routine where they're, taking a bath, wearing their jammies, maybe talking about their day, reading a book, cuddling, all those things cues your child's body that it's time for bed. And so when you do that and you add that to sleep training, you're more likely to get a better result rather than just rush through the day and have them hop into bed. It's going to be hard for them to unwind. It's going to be hard for their bodies to settle down. And just like for you, your mind might be racing if you've not had a routine. For them as well, it just makes things more challenging. Number four is having an inconsistent response to night wakings. So you have a child who is falling asleep okay, but they're really struggling with staying asleep. And so maybe they're waking up frequently, they come into your room, and then you're really not consistent in your response. What that does is it leads to confusion for them because they never know. It's almost like a slot machine. They're like, I don't know, should I go in now? Should I try? Should I not? And so what that does is it makes it hard for them to for you to follow through and for them to know what to expect. So if you're walking them back to their bedroom on one occasion, and then another occasion you're like, you know what, hop into bed with me, and then a third occasion you're like, nope, lay on a mattress next to me, it ends up causing confusion, and it is definitely something that you don't want to get into. Number five is rushing the process. If you think about it, your child's sleep issues usually don't just develop overnight, right? It starts gradually, and many times it's been going on for a while, and that's when you're like, okay, you know what, we got to do something. So to rush through the process is saying, oh, you know what, I tried it for 2 days, it didn't work, sleep training doesn't work. That's not true. It takes a while. It takes a while to learn new behaviors, to get rid of old ones, right? And Rome was not built in a day, right? If your child was taken to school and they went the first 2 days and they didn't learn their ABCs, or they didn't learn to count to a million, what are you going to say? Oh, school doesn't work? No, right? You'll be like, it takes time. We're going to be patient. Listen, I'm not saying it's going to take years for you to sleep train, but you get the idea. So be patient. Usually I would say give yourself at least maybe the shortest, depending on what method you have, 5 to 7 days, but to upwards of maybe two weeks, to get that really solidified, to change that behavior and to teach them the skills they need. So don't rush through it, go through it, realize that these things did not happen overnight. It will take some time, and be willing to be patient. And then number six, I would say, is ignoring your child's needs. If your neighbor says, oh, yes, we did the chair method and that's the only thing that works, and then you try it and your child goes ballistic, you're going to be like, okay, it doesn't work. No, that's not true. It might not work for you. It might not work for your family. And so I think this is really important, really focusing on what is your temperament? What is your child's temperament? What are your family's values? What's your parenting style? What's your parenting approach? How do you deal with limit setting? All those things need to be put in play to determine what you're going to do and what strategies you're going to put in place. And that will be different from your neighbors, and that is okay. And so there's no one size fits all. You're going to need to find what works for you, work with that consistently, knowing that it aligns best with you. And then I would say number seven, it's not by any chance the least, is the lack of parental agreement. Oh my gosh, this is a big one. Okay, so there are times when, dad is like a straight shooter, doesn't mess around. Bedtime is at, 7 p.m. By 7:05, you better believe that child is asleep with their eyes closed. And then mom comes and it's like a whole thing. Child is running around the house, going upstairs, going downstairs. I need a hug. I need water, like all over the place. And this whole process takes, now the child is asleep at maybe 8:15, 8:50, 8:30. I don't know, but later, much later. And so sometimes the approach to sleep training, if there is not synchrony, it's gonna cause big mistakes when it comes to sleep training. And then mom will feel like a failure, or dad will feel like a failure, or whatever. And what we need to do is just be on the same page. So if dad is like, we're going to do the cry it out method, that's what we're going to do. And mom's like, absolutely not. I want to be in the room. I want to do the chair method or the camping method. Again, refer to my other videos to know what exactly these methods are. It's going to cause so much confusion in that child. It's going to delay the process, and you're going to feel like it doesn't work. So that's one other common mistake. So I've talked about seven. There are a lot more, but I'll stop there. And I'll stop there to let you know that there's nothing wrong with sleep training. I want you to see helping your child to sleep independently is a gift you can give them. And it's a gift that keeps giving because you're investing in their future. You're giving them skills that they will use even as adults, and they can actually even pass on to their own kids. And you have to learn to be patient with yourself. So, a few things I would say you should do instead is, of course, continue to work on Setting the healthy boundaries, work on your why, find the method that works for you and stick with it. I would say consistency is key. So stick with a consistent method. If you need to change it around, give it a week or so before you decide it doesn't work. Number two, I would say, is make sure that you are communicating with your spouse or your partner to make sure you guys are on the same page. I think that is so, so critical. And number three is be authentic. Stick to what works for you. Don't copy anybody else. This is your family. This is your child. Find what works for you and be committed to it. And then finally, reach out for help. Know when to reach out for help. Listen, if you have a child that's snoring, that you're concerned about medical sleep issues, there's no amount of sleep training that's going to fix that. So know when to reach out to experts, know when to speak with your pediatrician to say, hey, I think something else is going on. And if you've been at the point where you're like, okay, I'm going to follow all of this, I'm going to teach my child, you put in all the work, you do all the sleep hygiene stuff, you do all the sleep training, and your child is still having a hard time during the day. Either they're having a hard time waking up in the morning, or they are tired during the day and you can't really explain why, or they're having issues in school and with learning, then you do want to make sure that they get tested for an underlying sleep disorder. Because apart from sleep training, there's still so many other things that could be going on with your child's sleep, and you don't want to miss that. You don't want to put a band-aid on that. And that's really what we're here for at the Restful Sleep Place. We make you feel seen, we make you feel heard, we tailor your needs, your child's sleep needs specific to them, and we create a customized plan where you and your entire family can thrive and reach your fullest potential. You could find out more about how we do this on our website. That's therestfulsleepplace.com, www.therestfulsleepplace.com. So schedule a call today so that we could get you and your entire family sleeping. So I hope that's been helpful. Listen, if this is your first time, again, hit that subscribe button, because you are literally becoming our sleep evangelist. You're helping us get the word out. Also, I want you to put in the comments which one of this really resonated the best with you. I will be coming back to check this. I would love to know. And until next time, I hope you rest well.